Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coggins, and we're looking at a reveal today. Well, I'm sure you're pretty excited about, Stuart, because it comes from your precious TOS, the starter of it all.
My precious. Yeah. Well, as you know, we had seen episode 11 of Discovery, where we get introduced to some more alien races that we're familiar with from all of Star Trek lore and canon. And these, well, this one we're talking about today, of course, is the Andorian. And right before the episode, well, the day before the episode aired, I think it was the day before, they released a publicity shot of the Andorian, and I gotta say, I was impressed. It looks like an Andorian, smells like an Andorian, probably tastes like an Andorian. I don't know, but it's an Andorian with it's an Andorian with a few extra added flares to it, but it's still very much an Andorian. And so they did their own take on it, but at the same time, they stayed very true to the original, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, this was a weird one, because I knew Andorians would come anyway, because they had the helmet. I knew that was what race they used, mud. And then we saw them vaguely from the offset, from the long distance in the preview, and you saw the white hair, the blue skin, boom. And then seeing these like yesterday, I was like, oh, you had to do things with it. You know, at least Vulcans they haven't done stuff with. You know, it's hair-ish and ears. They haven't messed up Vulcans, and this isn't a mess up per se, but they felt the need to do something different. And the most annoying thing I have felt about these Andorians, beyond it being different for the sake of different, is that they now have a voice filter. Andorians now speak with a now an effect, just like Worf did for no reason in Nemesis, because the director thought he's an alien, let's give him a voice filter, despite 7 years, 5 movies, 7 games. It's like, you know, and so now both Klingons and Andorians speak with a voice filter, despite them never, ever, ever having a voice filter before, which is again adding something because they're aliens. It's like, no, they don't speak with a voice filter, just speak. So that was more annoying than the look, for me, because yes, you're right. As we've said with the Defiant, it's not as messed up as it could be.
Well, as far as we know, we haven't actually seen it yet. It's just speculation.
Yeah. But it's like it still has the 3 important features: the white hair, the blue skin, and the antennae. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I gotta say, the Andorians have gone through an evolution from TOS.
Yep.
In TOS, the antenna seemed to be mounted a little bit further back and came forward and were shaped differently. And then in Enterprise, of course, they upped the ante kind of thing with the little mechanical ones but they seem further up on the head. But I've since been looking at pictures, and basically even TOS and Enterprise, the mounting of the antenna is pretty much the same, right about here, but it's based on the hairline. Shran's is back behind the antenna. The Andorian from the Journey to Babel actually has the hairline down here, but the antenna placement's still about the same. The only thing that's different is the size and shape of them, but then again, as we've said before, that could be based on where they come from on their planet, different continent, different race of Andorian.
Well, we do see an Andorian in Star Trek 4. It's an admiral, and he has antennae that are really big, tall, and sticky outy. So the variation would be slightly different blues and different antenna length. I mean, that and size, that would be the thing that varies. And just again to compare to the original TOS Andorians, he had no eyebrows or painted eyebrows. So and also this new one has no eyebrows. It has eyebrow points. The one from Star Trek 3 had distinct white eyebrows, which helped with the white hair. Big bushy white eyebrows. Shran had similar eyebrow color to his hair, normal eyebrows. The Andorian female in TNG, which is a bit of a weird exception to rule because it's different has eyebrows and a black eye. It's just a person with a wig that they didn't put any money into that one, but whatever. And then this new one has no eyebrows, but instead has points. Now, if you look at Shran, obviously he did go one step further and have some makeup at the front forehead, pieces that obviously connect to the antenna, and that certainly is a lot closer. So they're going further, but this new one's got cheek makeup, and they've added a forehead of the week onto an Andorian.
It's a birth defect. It's just this Andorian that has it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Why shouldn't that be an Andorian? I wish they weren't points. It works visually with the antennae, because obviously double points. but it does
Yeah.
create a whole new feel.
I actually kind of like that though. That addition makes sense for an Andorian, and kind of like.
Well, it doesn't. I just they've never had them. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, I know, but I think it looks good.
It does
looks
look
visually
good.
interesting. You did forget to mention in Starfleet Academy, the game, there's an Andorian female, one of the cadets. She also has. It's very similar to what we see in TOS. Same hairstyle, same kind of antenna configuration, and yeah, one of the most interesting things that I have seen so far in Discovery is the Andorian spacesuit that Mudd wears. It just seems so odd. Yeah, it just. Would you actually include these on the helmet, do you think? Or would you just make a bigger helmet? Because if there's different varying sizes of antennae, unless this was specifically made for each crew member of an Andorian ship, which is a possibility as well, I guess. But anyway.
Well, again, we're retconning the reason for different antennae because of species. But, you know, if they're as important as ears stay in a pretty similar... Like, okay, you know, they're never going to get bigger than this and never going to get smaller than this. So the range is controllable. So, I mean, that's probably a good equivalency. I mean, you know, arms, hands, feet are all the same. Ears are actually quite variable.
I'm looking at Google images of Andorians right now, and there's a picture of the director with Mudd wearing the helmet pointing at it.
Yeah.
And right beside it is the new Andorian from Discovery. And the antenna placement on the new guy is this way, which wouldn't have fit with the helmet, which are more up. Anyway, I'm just looking at that and going, there's be too many variations. But it makes sense that each species or each race has its own differences within its own culture. We certainly do here on Earth. And we've, you know, you do see like Tuvok, for example, from Vulcan, things like that. We've never really seen that with other alien forms like the Romulans or even the Klingons. You don't really get a feel that there's anybody different. I guess with the Klingons you do, because there are Klingons that are lighter skinned as well.
Yeah. I mean, for them it's obviously foreheads and skin tones, but obviously we only ever see the warrior class and on ships. So we only see a certain, and all in uniform. So it's kind of like, you know, Vulcans, we always see, you know, we see ambassadors, we see officers, we see crew members, we see terrorists even, you know, once, you know, we see slightly more facets of that. But yeah.
And it should be pointed out, too, that there are the albino Andorians that come from the
moon.
poles. Or
the moon? Yeah, I think it's, neighboring moon.
Anyway, yeah. But they're like a subset within the Andorian culture as well, which... I think they're blind and well, some of them use telekinetic abilities.
Yeah, they're psychic-y. They got and they got
that's the most obvious one.
Yeah, so I mean, there is a decent amount of variety inside of the show as they evolved, and certainly the Enterprise ones are my favorite because they have a consistent look, but it's all integrated really, really well. And this guy, again, just like with Klingons. They really screwed Klingons up with how different. This one is not as far, which is great. It's like, again, like I said in our full review, it's Andorian plus something attached to make it look more alien. Klingons, they took away a ton, changed a ton, added a ton, you know, making the ears part of the head, putting ridges, you know, all these things they did radically to change it. This is obviously familiar. And you can retcon this more as, you know, he's like a bodybuilder version, you know. He's a, you know, of the higher class that has interbreeding with themselves. That's why he's got more face muscle. I mean, again, we're forced to retcon just like we did in TOS. But then, you know, obviously fans are jumping at this point and saying, no, it's a visual reboot. They don't give a shit and they'll do whatever they want. And yes, obviously it's a visual reboot. They're saying this is how Andorians look. Because like it perplexed me how the Klingons in the Mirror Universe were wearing Takuvuma's unique house armor, even though Voch was not House Takuvuma, and there was not that same cult because they couldn't have been, based on how that society evolved. So why were the Klingons wearing the armor of a subsect that shouldn't exist? Yeah, because that's the armor they have because they invented it once and hated every Klingon's armor, which defies the canon, whatever. So this again is like, well, every Andorian now looks like this. It's like, well, no, they.
Well, I've just been scrolling through a few more pictures, and I did note that there is one Andorian from TOS that actually they're really weirdly placed. They're back here, and they kind of go out like this and point towards each other. Same with the one from Star Trek 4. It's got a very much, they point towards each other instead of forward, the antennae.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, I know, it's only makeup, it's only a TV show, I get it. But it's worth pointing these little differences out. And it makes sense. I mean, different birth defects or different different areas of the planet where you come from. It makes sense that there'd be alterations. So.
1 billion Andorians born every 5 years, or more. You can have variation within a theme. But again, this reiterates back to, okay, we're all fuddy-duddies that don't want 50 years of history to get changed.
Fuddy-duddies.
But I was thinking something when I was watching the episode. I was thinking, oh, why haven't we seen a shot of the Shinjo warp mirror Shinjo? That'd be cool to be a scene transition. And I said, I should make a Shinjo warp animation because we do that on Trekyards. And I said, well, obviously I'm going to use the canon version rather than the new version because guess what? For 37 years that was warp, and for 8 months Discovery has been warp. I'm going to go with the one that has a generation and a half of legacy, so I'm going to go with Andorians that look like a generation, 3 generations of people, 2 generations of people, rather than this thing they invented for a TV show in 2018 because lol, you know what I mean? I'm not going to use their version because it's not, whatever. As if it said it was a visual reboot, it'd be a perfect visual reboot of an Andorian. Andorian plus alien equals cooler looking Andorian. Perfect. But now we've got to retcon it back in as being, okay, now it's this version, it's another variation, why didn't we see him before? Yeah.
And to be honest, we need to see more before we can make the point that these added little features are on all of them.
Yep. But they will be, because they do consistent aliens. Right. But yeah, out of the 4 aliens we've seen specifically that are repeats, Vulcan, Klingon, Andorian, and Tellarite, second best, Vulcan being identical, woohoo. This one being easily second best. So good job. Just don't do it for season 2. Or do like 2 of these and then a couple of normals. Like we said for Klingons, have the hair in the background, like they did for Into Darkness. Have the variations, and then yours becomes more acceptable because it's just one of the many variations. Don't make yours. It's like why the Discovery Klingon Mirror Universe bald. They shouldn't be. Why, again, Kukuma's sect was bald. Why are these ones bald? They shouldn't be bald. There's no reason for Mirror Klingons to be bald. Klingons aren't bald. That's the makeup they had because they spent.
But I would agree that this is, as far as messing with Star Trek aliens, this one's not too bad compared to the Klingons, for instance. Yeah. So yes, I'll go with that assumption. So
he looks cool.
Guys. Anyway, guys, I think that's probably it for our discussion on the Andorians. So, you can tell a lot by their emotions, by their antenna. Anyway, so we will see you guys next time. Please put in the comments down below if you have anything you got to say about the Andorians, the new look or the old looks. I don't care. Talk about Andorians. And, share this video, like this video, all that jazz.
And all that jazz. And support on Patreon if you want to support this show to be released daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. We have a lot of cool stuff. And if you want to help Stuart get face reconstruction surgery to add the new points because he doesn't look canon anymore, nice and snazzy, then help us out there as well. Or a one-time donation at Trekyards.com if you want to help. And so until next time, probably tomorrow for another Discovery Analysis Review First Look. I am Commander Kongs.
And I am Andorian Foley. See you then.
Bye, guys.
Bye.